Welcome back to the Fans the Home Team podcast. This is Kelsey, and this episode is going to be my interview with Joey Galuppi. Joey is a massive University of South Florida Bulls fan, as am I. Joey went to undergrad at USF, and then I met him working at the Tampa Bay Lightning while I was going through my master's program at USF. He's a super positive guy. I've always loved talking to him and getting to learn more about him. Joey talked to me a lot about his time on the lacrosse and hockey teams at USF, and also how proud he is to be a Bull both athletically and academically. I also want to say that this episode was recorded before Jerry Bohannon transferred from Baylor to USF, so I am a lot more positive on the outlook of next season for the football team. Without further ado, here is the interview I did with Joey. All right, Joey, how did you become a USF fan or a University of South Florida fan, for those who don't know?
Go Bulls. Kelsey, I became a fan of USF through obviously being a student there and being an alumni. I just had some of the best years of my life there and met some of the best people, and following all the different athletics and being involved at the university with hockey and lacrosse, it was easy to fall in love with wearing the green and gold.
So you were never a fan before you became a student. What was kind of your process? How did you choose to go to USF then? My
mom was actually at Moffitt, which is the Cancer Research Center on campus there. So I was a little bit familiar with the campus and USF prior. And with Tampa being so close to where I grew up in Naples, for me, it made a lot of sense because it was far enough to get away from home, but it was also close enough to be able to get back if I wanted to as well, and had all the bells and whistles that I could possibly want in a university. And outside of the university, not being a college town, just being a big sports junkie myself, right? You have the Rays, you have the Bucks, you have the Bolts. So it's really like a pick of the litter and not being bored at any point in time.
I mean, those was a lot of the same reasons I went to USF too, obviously not for undergrad, but for grad school.
That's what I wanted to hear.
We're the same. I'm a Bulls fan now too, because I went to school there. So I get it. How long have you been a fan? When did you hop on the USF train?
Yeah, I think it was 2010 where I really started hopping on the bandwagon there. If you can call it a bandwagon.
Nope.
Let's just be transparent here. Like 2007 would have been the time to hop on the bandwagon when they were really, really relevant. But I remember watching them and be like, oh, that's so cool that we have another university like up the road that's thriving and doing so well. But here nor there. But it was probably 2010 when I started to really look into schools. I was looking to play college lacrosse, and there was a lot of Division II and Division III schools that I had spoken to be able to go to. But I, at the end of the day, didn't want to go to a school that was smaller than my high school population wise. And there was only one like Division I school that I had an opportunity to play at the NCAA level, and it just wasn't the right fit for me. So I decided to go in-state. USF had the major that I wanted to do, which was education, whether that was social science or physical education or whatever I really ultimately decided to do. But I had the school. Obviously, it's a great university, now a preeminent university, thanks to Judy.
Judy, let's go.
Her name's all over that university now. She even got a couple streets named after her, but it's obviously a great university, and it's the fastest rising now, right, as a top 40 public institution. So they're doing something right.
I forgot that you went in as an education major. Looking back now, obviously don't really use that, but
yeah.
Been there. I don't use mine either. It's cool. It happens. What are some of your favorite memories being a USF fan?
Again, like just had some just the best memories and like some of the best experiences there. I've easily had to be like playing hockey and lacrosse, like being in the locker room with the guys on the hockey team, and then being on the long charters with the boys for lacrosse. You know, whether we're flying out to Texas and playing A&M and Rice and Tech for lacrosse, or whether it's hockey, traveling and getting snowed in at our hotel up in Philly, because we played a couple schools up there, Bryn Athyn and Newman, and it snowed so bad we had to have a police escort to the rink in Bryn Athyn, and Bryn Athyn has their facility outside. It's an outdoor rink with basically just a roof over it, and now they're an NCAA program, which it was funny. I remember the first shift that me and my buddy got off the ice on, he looks over at me and is like, Joey, I don't remember signing up to actually play college hockey. Like it was a great time though. Like it was a really fun, cool experience being able to go up there, but we got snowed in at the hotel because it was so bad, basically playing in what every hockey kid grows up like dreaming about, like playing on the pond and playing high level hockey, like being on the rink outdoors, being crushed by snow. Like it was a really cool experience. And then being able to be like actually snowed in at the hotel, like the scene off of Miracle where the guys are throwing the football and tackling each other in snow before they head to the Olympics and do their thing. Like that was literally us in the parking lot at the hotel. We were able to crawl our way out and we were playing football in the snow, probably 12 inches. There was a huge storm warning, snow warning, whiteout warning. So we really couldn't go anywhere. And it was a great trip. We were to get back safe and sound. We did have to go back on 2 different flights. Some of us were waiting for another flight and almost had to stay an extra day, which I don't know if the university would have really enjoyed that, but that's what happened. And for lacrosse, definitely the top memory was us beating University of Florida for the first time my sophomore year. And there was over 700 people in attendance based on the university records, and us winning after the game and everyone running onto the field. Like it was cool to see a lot of our alumni that had played back in the 70s, 80s, 90s there to support. And then they were all jazzed up and gave a little speech at the end of the day, just how proud of us they were and how far the program's come since.
Did you play both sports like at the same time, all 4 years there?
No. So my first 4 years, I specifically played lacrosse, but I was always really close with the hockey guys. I had one of my best friends I went to school with and roomed with. His name's Aaron Humphrey. He also works for the Lightning, but I was always close to the hockey guys through him. And my first 4 years, I played lacrosse. And then I did do a victory lap, which was arguably the best year ever. And in doing that, I took introduction to oceanography, just like some silly freshman classes to help my GPA get boosted. So it helped my chances in getting into grad school and going for my master's program. So my victory lap, I did a few silly classes. And on top of that, I played hockey the entire year, and I actually taught full time to be able to graduate. So I was teaching at Wharton High School, 5 o'clock in the morning, lesson planning to putting together everything, grading papers and stuff after class, and after school to 4 or 5 o'clock, would go back, pass out, wake up, and go to practice from like 10 to midnight and come home and do it all over again my last year.
I feel like you had a pretty jam-packed college schedule.
Yeah, but it was fun. You want to have your schedule jam-packed in college, right? Like you don't want to miss out on any of those experiences.
That's super awesome. I just was like listening. I was like, did he really play 2 sports at once at a Division I level? Like, that's crazy.
I would have loved to. I would have loved to play both sports at the same time, but it just wasn't in the cards because of how much the sports required of each other at the time. Like practice for lacrosse. It was essentially 3 days a week, but we had like on the field, and we had couple of days off where we worked out as a team, and then obviously travel on the weekend. So there just wasn't any room to be able to throw on hockey as well. But as soon as the cross was over, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely wanting to be a part of the hockey team as well.
That makes sense. What have been some of your biggest heartbreaks being a USF fan?
I'll come out and say this. I don't know if anyone from UCF's lacrosse team this year is going to hear this or listen to this, right? Like you could, like we could market to them, get some more listeners.
Maybe, yeah, for sure.
I am now the head coach at USF for the lacrosse team. I've been doing this now the last three years, I'll say, instead of seasons, because we only got 2 games in 3 seasons ago, and then last year it was completely canceled, and then this year was our first full season, which was one of the more successful we've had since really I left as a player. But we lost in triple overtime a couple weeks ago to UCF after leading the entire game until like the last 3 minutes, and we just ran out of legs. We ran out of guys. We fought injuries all year long, but losing to them in 3 overtimes after actually never beating them as a program ever was definitely disappointing. But our guys gave it their all. Couldn't ask more of them. Like they make my job really easy as a coach. Like really do like love those guys, and looking forward to returning all but probably 3 guys. So we're going to have most of our guys back, and we've already had 6, 7, 8 guys commit to next year. So we're looking like we're going to be in a lot better place next year than we were this year.
Let's go. Anytime you gotta beat UCF.
Yeah, or like what we call them, C. Florida, the other school down I-4.
The other one.
Yeah. The other one. Yeah.
That's
the not preeminent one. Yeah, that one.
Exactly. No big deal. Who have been some of your favorite athletes at USF to either watch or play with over the years?
Say watching wise, like it was just like coming, like when I came to USF, we just came off of a bowl win against Clemson, which is crazy to say. Like we were beating Clemson in a bowl game, and then we started off 4-0. We beat Notre Dame. The games when I was coming to the home games, we had this is like crazy. You look at the stats online, like we were pushing 60,000 people at all these games. So it's just like, just coming into that environment was insane for us to absolutely just like tank where we went as a program. But man, I really loved watching Quentin Flowers and Marlon Mack, like during the Taggart era when he was able to bring us back. But Taggart was getting him on the bus, right? Get on the bus, Taggart era. Like, man, he had some guys on that team that were obviously like super underrated, just like freak athletes, seemed like to be really good people. And Dearness Johnson too, I think is a name that maybe doesn't get as much love, who is the backup to Marlon Mack, who this year was like 4th or 5th on the depth chart to Cleveland, and then finally got some time on the field and just like showed out. Like, he was a guy I was trying to pick up in fantasy during the week because I knew he was going to blow up, and someone got him right before me. And I was so disappointed. I think during that time when Taggart was there, it was just so many pieces and so many fun guys to watch, and the no huddle offense and I was at the bowl game when they beat South Carolina. Like, it was easily some of the most fun USF football I've watched in the last 10 years.
Dude,
call a spade a spade.
I remember like my first year at USF was Quentin Flowers last year. And, we were super hyped. And it was the one, I forget who we lost to in the middle of the season. We shouldn't have lost to him, but
Temple.
Yeah, the Temple game in like October. Oh my gosh. That's one of the most heartbreaking, I feel like, sports moments in my life, just because that team was so good. That team could have went undefeated.
Yeah. Well, Flowers got hurt on one of the plays and had to come out, and then his helmet came off another play, and we put in our backup at the time, which I'm blanking on his name now, but put him in, pick 6, and then there was a turnover on the other, just like kind of completely blew that game for us in like 2 plays. And then that was the same season where we kicked the ball to UCF's big return guy. I think the score was like 48 or 49, 42, just a crazy shootout game at UCF. Like, you don't kick the ball to their best return guy. And then you figure out a couple plays just to get out of there against Temple, and you're talking about us in the Peach Bowl against Auburn instead of the 2017 proclaimed national champions.
Yeah, that Friday Thanksgiving USF UCF game was one for the ages, and ever since, that season, we've been absolute garbage. So
let me ask you a question. What do you think about Jeff Scott?
I'm not about it.
No, really? Okay.
No, I didn't think he was deserving of an extension at this point. Like, what are we extending? If he can't hit at least 5 wins this year, I think you have to just cut ties and be done.
Okay. Yeah, I always think it's super interesting because of our experiences in sports and maybe getting to work with some professional athletes or being their handler, whatever you wanted to call it, right? Like, you really don't necessarily know how people are until you get to meet them face to face. And I know we're talking about production, not necessarily who they are as people, but it seems from the outside looking in that he seems to be like a good guy. And the new receiver that we just picked up from Clemson, right, in the transfer portal, which is college football, is completely different now. It's just it seems to be just like a gong show. But I think it is, what's his name, Ajari.
Yeah,
it's like his first name, last name are the same. But he, like, in the spring game, he looked great. And I think it's those relationships that he was able to build and the knowledge he was able to get at Clemson that hopefully he's able to bring to us, because, like you said, the last few years have been not that, like 3 wins, 3 wins is not great. But I will tell you, I was at the BYU game at BYU for my bachelor party this last year, and that game was absolutely electric. If we didn't spot BYU 21 points to start the game, like, we win that game. Like, they look great. Timmy McClain looks like Quentin Flowers 2.0. Like, he's just on the JV team. Like, I think this year, like, he's ready to step up in that varsity role. And you got Jimmy Horn on the outside, and another big acquisition, this guy from Clemson. And then it seems like we have a decent defense. They were able to keep us in a decent amount of games. Or actually, I shouldn't say defense. Our offense was able to keep us in a decent amount of games. But on the defensive side, there's a couple pieces that you could see, like, they have potential. So we'll see what this year has. I say 6 wins. I say we need at least 6 wins. We got to get to a bowl game. I don't care if it's, I don't know, the Idaho Potato Bowl, whatever it is. Like, we got to get to a bowl game. There's no way we can miss one this year.
Joey's a very positive guy, as opposed to maybe myself. I saw a lot of really dumb coaching decisions and a lot of player mental errors, which I think you can chalk up to coaching the past 2 years. And the the defenses, I don't even know what to say about the defense. So I hope they turn it around. I hope that I'm wrong and the extension is well worth it, but it's a rough start for a new coach.
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially when the 2 out of the 3 wins were D1 AA schools and FAMU and Citadel. Like, it's not the one D1 win is against the school we kind of mentioned earlier is Temple. So it's like we got one Division I win in the last few years. So again, like I definitely am a cup half full guy. Like, hopefully they can pull it together, and we're going to have an on-campus stadium in 2026 now that they're probably going to put the Sycamore Field. So like, I think that's just going to help out a lot. I don't know. Can we go even further down than where we are now? Like, I know UCF has a couple like seasons where they didn't win a single game. We're not talking about that.
Right. It's true. And I do like, it's such an arms race to not have your own stadium and to not have the IPF fully done. Like, you're so far behind other schools, and it's obviously our football program's a lot younger than a lot of other schools as well, but it puts you significantly behind in the recruiting trail. And that's hard to overcome, especially when you're in Florida, and most good kids from Florida are getting picked off very easily from, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, those types of schools.
I think that was Taggart's whole thing, though. It's just like, everyone that we need is local. They're here. They're in Florida. Like, Q-Flow is from Miami, right? Like, Dearness Johnson was from Immokalee. Like, you have these guys that are local, but what can you do to keep them to stay? And in doing some of my research and my work for school, right, on the sports management side, it was the numbers are going to be outdated since this was a couple years ago, but there was a handful. I want to say there was 10 plus, and when I say 10 plus, I mean it was between 10 and 20 schools at the Division I level that actually have a campus stadium off campus, or a stadium off campus, excuse me. And USF was, I believe, the 7th furthest from the university. So again, that goes back to a lot of what you're saying, right? Like, there's no facilities on campus. Like, it hurts recruiting, it hurts the players, it hurts the atmosphere, it just hurts everything as a whole. Revenue, like being able to bring in specific concerts and events and utilizing everything that the university typically would be able to do at other places, like USF just hasn't been able to do or capitalize on. But there's always another season.
The renderings look insane. So I mean, when that's done, like, it's going to be unbelievable, and they should be able to recruit Tampa very well when that's done. But unfortunately, that's a really long time away.
I agree. Hey, it's a process. You got to trust the process. And I agree. We got to get 6 wins this year, but I'm going to go as far and be probably the crazier USF fan and be like, if Jeff Scott cannot get a winning season in his first year in the new stadium, he's gone. So like, I'm giving the man time.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. I'm giving my man time. But I believe that if a school like FSU were to give Taggart more time, he would have been able to turn on that program too, because he actually had a better record than Norvell did when they extended Norvell, which is, again, another conversation, another school, but just what's the college football landscape looking like when they're renewing coaches' contracts that are not necessarily thriving?
It's really hard because you have to add boosters into the mix. It's not solely an athletic director's decision.
Yeah.
To be completely fair, like, he's basically at the mercy of what the boosters want to do, whether it's a good or a bad idea. You just need the money to come in. So
Kelsey, I know exactly what's going on.
I've been there. I worked for the Bulls Club. I know how that stuff goes.
Yeah, we just need some big donors. I know that obviously the Morsani family and the Vinnick family, they donated $5 million a piece, but the stadium's going to be a little bit more than that.
It's a tiny bit.
We'll see. I know. I was looking at how I think Oregon State's redoing their stadium. This year they're adding on. Colorado State just built theirs. Like, and they're like talking about like, how do you make up that extra X millions of dollars that you need? And it's all talking about licensing and money. So it's like, it's hard to fathom the was it 350 to 480 million dollars that would necessarily be needed for the size of a facility that you would want or need, but they make it happen. They talked about maybe upping student fees. So who knows?
You kind of have to. You can't just put out renderings and not make it work somehow. So I'm sure they'll get it done. I don't know how or with who, but it'll get done.
You just said the boosters, the Bulls Club. We need
a lot more boosters than what they got over there to make that stadium happen, unfortunately.
Channing Tatum attended USF. He did not graduate, but he attended USF. So
really, I did not know that.
Yeah. We need to get him on board.
I did not know that. That's really interesting.
You can pull up an article on it. I think might have been geography. He was taking some random class at USF, and it was just like, that's it. I'm out, done. And it's like, it literally is what he does in like 21 or 22 Jump Street. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Channing Tatum, if you're listening, the USF needs some money. So
yeah,
write the check.
Tune in.
Please.
Please write the check.
That's funny. What's something that makes you keep being a fan, even though you've graduated and you're not a student anymore of USF?
Yeah, I think it's the people. Right. Like I'm again very lucky and blessed to have met so many like really good and amazing people at USF. And like even like my assistant coach, when he played, his name is Bill Pesci. He was an academic All-American when he played. So a smart guy. He got conference honors once. Like he's a better person than he is as a player. And he was a great player too, but he shares a lot of love for the school, and it definitely translates to his coaching. And then obviously when we're in the charter or flights or whatever, traveling everywhere, like we're literally talking about USF football at university, and it just comes back to again like a lot of the really good people that you met and you want to be associated with. Like obviously Kelsey, like you're a great person, you went to USF.
Yep.
Still talking now. So it
true.
Goes back to the relationships, right?
That's true. My favorite people are from USF, so and people I met going there and all that stuff. So good point. If you were Michael Kelly, what are some things you do to improve the athletic department?
Well, I think they've made a lot of really good moves. Again, like you talk about, it's not just him. It's a lot of the boosters and money talks, right? But they're expanding a lot. They're adding beach volleyball. They're adding women's lacrosse. They're getting a lot of opportunities for not only obviously football, but to be successful at the athletic level in a lot of other sports. And I think that USF has shown that they've been successful in other sports outside of football. Like women's basketball is good every single year. In men's basketball, they've teetered off as well since I was a student. They went to the tournament. They did really well. They lost to Ohio, and I think it was the group of 32, or maybe it was a Sweet 16. I don't remember, but I remember like they had a great year. But women's basketball is always good. Baseball is always good. Softball is always good. Like we got the Team USA manager as our coach. Like our women's and men's soccer is always good. Our tennis is great. Like our golf team crushes it. We had Brooks Koepka's brother on the team. Like we have a lot of success in other sports. Really, I think it goes back to what you said earlier. We're a younger university, and we've also only had like football, which is one of really the two main drivers of any financial revenue. If you see any out of university, is either in football or men's basketball, and it trickles to the rest of the sports. So I think that once you are able to be in a more successful place and have a more successful football program, it's going to do nothing more but to just contribute even more to all the other student athletes at the school and continue to make their experience better and increase facilities, which I think the facilities they have for a lot of the teams are really great anyway. But I think that they'll be able to improve on those dramatically and even more, which then obviously will help bring even more revenue to the school as well outside of just athletics. So we'll see. I think that time will tell. Like I said, I'm going to give Jeffy Scott like another 4 or 5 years. So I'm a patient man, but got to trust the process. And at the end of the day, like the sun comes up, it's not the end of the world, but you wish all the best and well for all the people that you're associated with. And again, with like the relationships and everyone I built with USF. So it's just wish the best for the people I love.
I think that Michael Kelly gets a bad rap. I'm on Twitter. Yeah. I see it. He gets some hate. He takes some heat from USF Twitter. I think people always forget, like you said, the success of USF as an entire athletic program at a group of 5 level is actually really good. It's
stupid.
It's one of the best if you look at every single sport in the nation. People don't realize that. And they do. They put a lot of effort into helping maintain a lot of the Olympic sport facilities as well as they need to. They're obviously trying to do a lot for football right now, but those other sports, I don't think are being neglected by any sense. They have all have really good coaches. They all have really good facilities and they perform really well. And that's a huge part of his job too that people just don't think about.
And I don't know if this is the pressure from or being voluntold from Michael Kelly, but like, again, you see it on Twitter, like what's going on, but you see like the football team goes over the women's soccer practice when they're in conference, like in their conference play, and they're taking PKs against their goalie and like having fun and trying to support other teams. And they showed the football team at the baseball game last week, like all in the stands showing out and trying to drive more, not revenue, but more people to the game and putting more bottoms and seats. And again, which drives the bottom line, right, of money. Even if it's like the tickets aren't expensive, well, then you got to eat, you got to drink, you're going to make some money there, and also be able to see some of these facilities, like you said, that are great already. So again, I just think it takes time. I think Michael Kelly does get a bad rep. I think he's been good for the university. I don't think he's really done too much harm. And obviously he's been a place where he's been pushing the on-campus stadium as well with the board of governors or board of trustees, whatever you want to say. So I don't know. We'll see for sure. But I think that USF has a ton of room to grow and get better. And their academics have far shot up from where, like, they've far exceeded like where I think maybe the school thought they would go, being a preeminent university. Like, I wouldn't have gotten into school there if this was fast forwarding 10 years. I was coming out of high school. Not to say that I had bad grades, but the GPA and the ACTs and the SAT requirements for a lot of the kids that are coming to play lacrosse at the school. Like, I believe like the ACT is like a 31 or a 32 out of 36, right?
That's unreal.
It's like, it's just insane. It's just growing so much. It's just crazy to see how much it's growing and the academic requirements, and like it's very like on par with Florida State. And yeah, like their ACT requirements are, this is fall 2021, like they're looking at like a 31 ACT. But if you're looking to try to get in summer, it said mid range, like you're looking around closer to 25. So if anyone listening to this and you're a student, apply for summer because it's easier to get in.
It's a great school. Even when I was there, I graduated in 2019, like the strides they've taken are unbelievable in an academic sense. I don't see a lot of other schools making that big of a push on that side of things.
No, I agree. And like, I went to Florida State for my graduate school, and I'm going to Troy University, even though that's all online. Like the money that they are putting in for the students is crazy. Like they've already completely got like bowled over the dorm I was in when I was there. So that's not even existence. Like, rest in peace, Ada and the Andros complex. Now it's the Village, and you have the Fit, which is like this brand new, gorgeous, like, all right, like area, gym, pool, everything. And then they're building another brand new wellness center next to where the old campus rec center is now, which they redid completely inside and out when I was there in 2012. And they completely redid the Yingling Center, right, in 2012 as well. So it's like, it's crazy how fast that they're growing and how much they're putting on campus and redoing the Honors College, which is the Judy Ganshaft Honors College, right? Like throwing her name on everything. Like, it's just insane. The campus is changing a lot. Like it's just improving a ton, especially from like when I was there. And I had a great experience. So I can only imagine what it looks like for a lot of the kids that are going there now as a student.
This is an unbelievable commercial for USF right now. So
commercial, hey, like I'm telling you, man, like I love this school, and obviously you went there too, and I think you enjoyed it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. It's okay if you want to go the other way, but
no, I loved every second of it. So I'll make a commercial for them, no problem.
I totally drink the green and gold Kool-Aid for sure.
How would you describe the USF community in one or two words, and why?
I would say resilient. Like, it's, again, like it's, you look at the numbers, but there's been like season ticket members that, even though there's not a lot, like they've been there for a while. A lot of the alumni that keep coming back, it shows how much they care about the university. I guess like technically could have said something with bowl in the name, but they, right, like USF does.
Go Bulls.
Like go Bulls. Like, we're unbelievable. Like, I get it. Like, it's cute. You got to throw in bowl somewhere, but no, I'd say resilient. Like, it's just, again, like it's a great school, great university. Like, really do like enjoy being on campus, even now, like as a coach, and being able to mentor and coach all my guys. And there's just a lot of really good people that are there and have graduated from there and continue to come back. So I know, like, one of the things I also look forward to, which I didn't say earlier, but I always look forward to our alumni games with lacrosse, because you'll get guys that played lacrosse there in the 70s and 80s coming back, and they're still wearing their mesh hold like jersey from 40 years ago in the alumni game. And it's just like, oh, that's like the style now, right? Like everyone like is going to like the porthole like jerseys, and they're just like, yeah, like had this thing for 40, 50 years rolling out of the closet. Like it's just cool to see how much support the university can get, and that you do see people coming back. So it's only a matter of time.
Last question for you, man. If you could tell the USF fandom and community what they've meant to you over the years, what would you say?
I would say on the coaching side at USF for lacrosse, and then more so, I'd say maybe the parent side on hockey. There's a lot of dedicated individuals that just care about, again, you as a person and would run through a brick wall for you. And in my 1 year playing hockey, there's a family called the Hoflick family. Danny is the gentleman I played with, who's actually one of the associate coaches of the team. And so is Aaron right now as well. But his family was at every single one of our games. And they not only made it a point to obviously be there for Danny, but make it like a point to be there for me and for Aaron and some of Danny's closest friends as well. So for the family, the friends, the parents, like, and coaches, like my coach that I had for lacrosse there for 4 years, Jeff Schimmel, like we still have a relationship to this day. They were at my wedding, him and his wife, Sarah, and being able to see his little kids coming to the lacrosse games now and running around afterwards, and hearing him screaming from the stands and on the field at us and the players and being involved in it. Like it's really cool to see the support that you've gotten over the 10 years, even as a player, as a coach, and in the community. So it's just, again, it takes a village, and it's the relationships, and there's just a lot of really good people, and I'd be amiss if I wasn't to mention them. And you're okay too, Kelsey. You're
Thanks,
okay too,
buddy. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
For all the listeners, you totally should have heard Kelsey during our time in the Cubes working for the Lightning and the Vinnick Sports Group. She absolutely crushed it. Like, I always come over to her and be like, that's great. I love that. Like, I'm going to steal that.
Let's go. Back in my first sales job right there.
Yeah, we were, I was definitely disappointed when I heard that obviously you were leaving us to go to the Lansing Lugnuts, but I knew that you needed to take the next step in your career outside of the Lightning. But extremely proud of you and everything you've been able to do. And I love the fact that you've really created this podcast and continue to connect with individuals and talk about the relationships that I've really been harping on this entire conversation.
Exactly. That's the whole point. I don't really work in sports anymore. So, but this is still a way to do so and do it kind of on my terms. And I love it. Exactly. You get it. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to Joey for doing this interview with me and giving us an insight into your USF Bulls fandom. I can confidently say not many people bleed the green and gold as much as you do. Next episode is going to be Miranda and I talking about Pride Nights in sports, specifically whether we feel as they are performative actions or not. Check out our link tree, which you can find in the description of the episode. This is our one-stop shop for you to find all of our social media accounts, and also sign up to share your fandom story with us. And so you don't miss any of our upcoming podcasts, subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening on: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon. We're on all those. And take some time to leave us a review. It does help and makes our days. Thank you again, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Go Bulls.